mayor for a little bit over 3 years. I cannot believe that. I mean, when we started thinking about pulling stuff together for a re-election, it was like, how could we be doing this again?
In fact, that's what my next topic was, your re-election. Of course, you'll make an official announcement at some point. No one doubts that you're not going to run for re-election. Would we be mistaken to believe that you're going to seek a second term?
No, I mean, all intentions are to do that, and like I said, we'll make a formal announcement later. But the reality is, this is a hard job to get done everything you want to in 4 years. Because, and the reason is this, in business, it's all about the result, and you get to the right result as quick as you can, and that's success. In government, the process, and this might sound crazy, somebody who's just been in business all their life, but the process matters just as much as the result. And because of that, it just takes longer, and that's real frustrating to me, and you want to be able to put more notches on the belt or, marks on the wall, but that's the reality. So it'd be really hard to get done everything you want to get done in 4 years.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've gotten accomplished. In terms of looking back on that day when you said, I'll be the mayor of Knoxville. I know that you used to talk about keeping a list of businesses names in your pocket. Do you feel like you've done the best you could in terms of attracting new business into Knoxville?
I think so, and sometimes it's a case of keeping businesses here, and there's several that we've worked to do that, but everything from like having a retail business like Mass come downtown, which has a lot of impact beyond just its location, to talking Cisco into putting what's going to be a $35 to $40 million distribution center on the old Coster Shop property that we think can reverberate through the rest of I-275. And then talking with, like I said, I spend a decent amount of time talking with businesses of all stripes and varieties about how to grow here or how to move here.
What else has been... I'm trying to think back to your 3 years ago when you first took office and what some of the issues you wanted to accomplish. I know that was one. What were some of the others?
I think so. I mean, if you said, and I didn't come in here kind of with a laundry list, I guess if I'm going to get in re-election mode, I need to start thinking
of that. You need to do that, right?
But I think there's several things. We focused on the finances of the city at the time. Our reserve fund had gotten fairly dangerously low. We'd cut back the paving schedule that the city had typically kept up so we could stay on a regular routine. The employees' 2.5% raise had only been in effect for part of the year prior to that year. Right. So we worked hard to do two things. Unfortunately, the first year we had to raise taxes, which nobody wants to do. But we had to due to the situation we were in. Second, we worked hard to control expenses to where we changed that situation around to where now we have a really adequate reserve that allow us to be what we want to be. So I'd start. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, part of the issues you faced was a convention center that was just sort of eating your budget alive. How is the convention center doing?
It's doing well. I mean, I guess we should face facts. The reality is the convention center, right in our current circumstances, isn't going to be what any of us hoped it would be. I mean, since it was planned and built, 9/11 happened, there's just not as much travel and conventions, period. Number two, a lot of our competitor cities built convention centers as well. Number three, because ours didn't have a hotel with it, it's been limited in what it could attract. Now, that being said, we've tried to make the best out of that, and we've worked hard to bring a lot of smaller events in, which is what it's turned into. So it's probably not attracting as many people from out of town as we would have liked, but we are filling it up and using it frequently. We're cutting the loss on. Every year it's losing less, if you will, but we think we have a good plan to keep it headed in that direction.
I know that this year will mark the 25th anniversary of the World's Fair. Is the city planning any major event?
We actually are talking with that. Mickey Maloney, who's the special events director in the city, for the city, and I've been talking to others about let's figure out an appropriate way. I mean, we obviously are not going to recreate the fair, but I think it is a significant thing to remember that happened, and hopefully we'll bring some attention to other things we have in the World's Fair Park.
Of course, a lot of people I know, just after the fair, there were all kinds of conversations about how to redevelop that site. Right. There were, festive retail, there was a mix of housing, et cetera, et cetera. It's now a nice park, and I think a lot of people are very, very happy about the idea of it remaining that. What do you think about what's happened since 1982 in that particular area?
Well, you're right. We've been through a lot of iterations. Initially, the city's goal, I mean, this is, 25 years ago, was we're going to take all that and redevelop it all commercially, as you said. It's ended up being a nice park, but then we've tried to do some things around that. The Candy Factory and Victorian houses, which were part of that, were quite frankly a huge money drain to the taxpayers. The Sun Sphere's been closed. We're trying to get it reopened. The amphitheater's had a fence around it. We're working on a plan to get the fence down and at least get where there's not right in the heart of the fair site, everything blocked up, and hope to announce really soon kind of an overall plan for that.
you can go ahead and do that right now.
Yeah, I would, except I don't have all my T's crossed and I's dotted, but I would. I mean, we hope to have an overall plan there. Going back, you asked what else have you done as the city. The other thing, worked hard on the budget, worked hard at delivering basic services. The reality is a lot of people, community leaders, are always talking about, gosh, we have grand visions for what the city can be. The reality is most people live in the city, deliver basic services, make it a safe neighborhood, pave my street when it's due, pick up my garbage and my brush and my leaves. We've worked really hard at those basic execution things, adding the 311 system to it. While it doesn't sound real sexy, to folks out there, it's about delivering services. So we've worked really hard at that type of thing.
All right, we just have a couple minutes remaining. I have to ask you, because your name, every time 4 years down the road comes up, your name comes up when it comes to the race for governor. What do you think of that, first of all? Well,
I think that's just a natural part of when you're in public office. People think, oh, well, if you ran for mayor, you must be wanting to be, governor or president or something someday. And that's, in my case, I can honestly tell you, I don't spend any time thinking and no time at all planning about it. I mean, I'm going to run for re-election for mayor. I personally think I have a great job. And I think it's dangerous to always be thinking, I wonder what's next. I don't think that's good in any job. It's an honest answer. I know people don't believe that, but I don't spend any time thinking about it, and I sure don't spend any time planning it.
Still, you must be flattered by it all, though.
Well, some, but I also realize that's part of the nature of being in this business. It's, hey, you're an elected official. Wouldn't you want to be a bigger elected official? So, I mean, it's nice, but a lot of names get thrown out there.
When you took office, you sort of became the anti-politician. You've never been a politician. You were a businessman, and you've run your office in a less than political way. And I don't mean that as I mean that as a compliment. Have you become more of a politician, you think, in the past 3.5 years?
Here's the honest truth: is I told somebody this the other day. Business is like football. If there's a score out there, everybody knows Florida beat Ohio State 41-14. There's no doubt about that. That was the score that was up on the board. Politics is a lot more like ice skating back during the Cold War, in that you do your performance and then you wait for the judges to hold up your card. Okay, and the Russian judge might give you a 4 and the Canadian judge gives you a 9 or whatever. But because of that, in politics, you have to convince people that you really are doing it. I hate to say it, but it's not enough just to do it. You have to convince people you're doing it too. And that's why I think sometimes politicians get accused of being a politician, because they, unfortunately, like I said, unless you are telling people you're doing it, and that's a part of the job I don't really like a lot, but if you want people to think you're getting stuff done, sometimes you have to tell them.
All right, that'll have to be the final word. Mayor Haslam, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Gene. It's a pleasure.
All right, now if you missed part of our program and like to see it again, you can watch it on our website at TennesseeThisWeek.com. And of course, we always want to hear what you think about our program. Email us your comments to thisweek@wat.com or write to us at 1306 Broadway, Northeast, Knoxville 37917. That is our time. We hope we see you again here next week.